I'm going to show you how to use an app called Stencil Pick to posterize your images. So you can open up the app and go to your photos. And I'm going to choose a picture of my niece. It automatically does this cool posterizing pop art thing to your image. So for this project that we're doing, it's a monochromatic, so just like black and white, one color thing. I'm going to choose the green one, and I'm going to choose the black and white, and then I'm going to choose which of those four I like the best. And I think the bottom left hand one works for me. So I'm going to save that to my camera. You just hit save image and it'll go there. And then I will show you how to transfer that later. So if you're going to be utilizing the grid drawing method, you are going to use this technique, using technology to help us out when we can't do it by hand. So open up Sketchbook. This is the Sketchbook app, and then you're going to place your image. And up at this top scroll bar here, you're going to hit the little image icon, and I'm going to open up my picture that I have edited. I'm just going to hit done. Then I'm going to add another picture on top of this. And this picture is actually a empty grid PNG file that I have included in Canvas for you. And I am going to just move this to where I need it. And it's very touchy. So I have two fingers touching the iPad. And I'm just barely touching it. I need to make sure that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got to be 9 inches across because my paper is 9 inches across. So you want the grid to be 9 squares across. That makes sense. I'm going to hit done, but I have a problem. My grid doesn't extend to the bottom. So I'm going to touch the layer that the grid is on, and I am going to duplicate it. Now, there are 2 layers on top of each other. I'm going to go back up to the top toolbar, and these 4 arrows is the transform tool. I'm going to now touch my layer that I just duplicated, and I am going to drag it down and align it with the one above it. Hit done, and hit the plus sign for a new layer so that I can label what each section is. So let's see, make that a little bigger. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So I can see based on the grid that I have created on top of my picture what is going to be on my paper. All right, so I'm going to use that. The great thing about this is I can now zoom in on a square and I can see what parts I'm drawing where within the square. So the grid method is an awesome way to transfer images quickly and effectively that doesn't take too much drawing skills. So hopefully that helps you guys. For this next project, you guys are going to have to do a grid on your paper if you don't have a printer and can't transfer an image. So to show you how to do a grid, you just get a ruler and you measure out your inches. So this is a 9 by 12 piece of paper. You guys should have this too, or use the canvas that I gave you. And you just go along the edge. I'm actually going to use a different pencil. And you mark every inch. Do it on both sides. And then you connect them. Simple as that. The main thing is you want to make sure you draw very, very lightly because you're going to be erasing this grid when you're done. And that your lines are straight. They line up from dot to dot. Okay, and hold your ruler in the middle like this and draw very lightly. And a way to reassure yourself that you're drawing lightly is to hold your pencil at the base, like at the back, and just let it go. You won't push too hard if you do that. I'm going to finish this up because I have to do the sections on the other side, and you'll see when I'm done. Okay, so when you are drawing this, so I'm starting in section 3 here, so you can see, it's kind of hard, I'm going to zoom in. You can see this section. What I'm drawing is I am drawing each piece here, each different value in each section, because I'm going to be painting those, all those different colors. So remember, I numbered this incorrectly, so it's actually 2, 3 instead of 1, 3. So I'm just going to get the basic shapes in here. And I'm going to go on to the next square. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the next one down. You can see this is where her eye is going to start taking shape. So I got to make sure you're drawing what you see in each square. And I think I'm actually off a little bit, so that eraser just does not work well. You can see it goes over into this corner. This is called the grid drawing method, and it is a great way for you to understand and how to draw things that are typically harder to draw. Okay, so I have transferred all of my lines from the photograph onto the paper. You can see that I went square by square and transferred into it what I could. And I decided to choose this picture that has an insane amount of crazy hairy fur around her neck. I'm just gonna do that, freehand it when I'm painting. So the next step is to mix all of my gray tones, and then we'll be painting. This next technique I'm going to show you is called a graphite transfer method. It is a way of transferring an image to a substrate using graphite, which is pencil. You can buy actual graphite transfer paper. I don't have any with me, and you probably don't either, because it's something you have to go out and buy specially. So I'm going to show you how to do that with just a pencil. So what you do is you take your image you have printed, or if you have your own drawing, you can use your own drawing too. It's a great way to transfer things. And just you take your pencil and you just coat the whole back side of the image with graphite. I'm going to continue doing this, and then I'm going to show you how to transfer it to the canvas. Okay, so now that I have successfully coated the whole backside of my picture with pencil or graphite, I held it up to the window so I could see through and make sure that I've got all of the areas covered that I need to. I'm just focusing on her face and not the background. I have my canvas. It's just a canvas board, or you could do this on watercolor paper or any other paper that whatever you're transferring to. I'm going to use a piece of tape, and I'm going to actually do 2 pieces of tape and tape it to the sides. This ensures that it doesn't move back and forth, so that as I'm tracing over the image, this doesn't shift and mess up and get out of place underneath, because then the whole thing will be messed up and it won't be very fun. So just to show you what to do, I'm using a ballpoint pen, and it's red, so I can see where my lines are. Now I'm going to push kind of hard, and I'm tracing every section that's a different value. So see, that's lighter, and there's a little white spot there. This is lighter. This is actually a little section there. There's that. So, and since I taped it to the sides, if I pull up, wherever I've drawn a line has transferred the graphite from the paper to my canvas. That is pretty cool. So this is a way that if you have a drawing that you really like that is on, say, lined paper that you did, like a doodle, you could always use this method to transfer it onto different paper or any of your drawings onto a canvas, so that you can do it. You're still using your own image, but this is a faster way than hand drawing for this project. So to show you, see how it's transferring. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to finish doing this, and then I will show you how we're going to mix paint to paint this. Okay, so this has taken me about 10 minutes to transfer it. When I hand draw it, it takes me about 45 minutes or more. So I'm going to carefully peel this back and see if I need to go over any other areas. You can see it's pretty light in some places, and that's probably because I didn't push hard enough on the graphite on the back of the paper, or push hard enough when I was transferring it. Now this hurts my hand to do this too much, but so I wasn't pushing as hard as I should. But if I look at this, I'm pretty sure I can follow that. The area around her mouth, and you see that looks crazy, but when you're painting it, I'm just going to start with black. I'm going to start with the darkest tones, and I'm going to get all of those in first, and then things will start to come together. And I didn't trace down here. I didn't get any graphite on the back down here on the page, so when I was going over this section in the paper, it was pointless because it didn't transfer. So I'll just have to do that by hand later. So Next up is mixing my grays so I can start painting. For the next step of this project, you need to mix your paint. So I have two different paintings going that I can work on just to show you that I'm going to show you the differences between working on like this thicker watercolor paper and working on a canvas board like this one. So each of my pictures, I looked at them and I have to figure out how many values I have to mix. So I definitely have, you can see there's one white, a light gray, a medium gray, a dark gray, and a black. So I have 5 different levels of values that I need to mix. I actually don't, because I have white and black already. So I have to mix 3 shades of gray. So I have a light, a medium, and a dark gray. And actually this picture has the same. It has a light, has white, and it has light, medium, dark gray, and black. So that works out pretty good. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set all of this aside. This is canvas, or excuse me, this is it is palette paper. It's like a pad full of this really shiny paper. You can use wax paper, you can use a paper plate, you can use an old magazine, you can use whatever you have at home to help you mix your paint, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mix up my grays just to show you how to do that. So I'm just gonna scoop out, as you can imagine, black is very strong and the white, black can overpower the white. So if I'm gonna mix a light gray, I'm gonna need more white, let me use the other end of my paintbrush, and a little bit of black. And I'm just gonna mix those up. Okay. That looks pretty good. So there's that. And then I'm gonna wipe off my back of my brush here. So I'm gonna get out another scoop of white, less white this time. A little bit more. And more black this time because I need a darker value, right? And you really want to look at your pictures too and see how much of which value you have. Like if I have a lot more light gray than I do dark gray, I'm going to need to mix a lot more light gray. And that is actually the case here. There's a lot more of the lighter gray and white than there is of dark gray and black. So keep that in mind because you don't want to have to try to match your shades again when you're mixing. So there's that one. Then just a little bit of white this time and a lot of black. And I might need to put more black in there because to me that is too close in value to this middle gray tone. So you could take a piece of cardboard, a flat piece of cardboard, and wrap it with wax paper or even plastic wrap and use it to mix on just like this. I think I want that just even a little bit darker still. Okay. All right, so now, and I think now that I'm looking, and I want you guys to do this too, this is why I'm doing this with you, and showing you, I think my light gray is a lot different than white. And when I'm looking at this, it's pretty similar. So I'm actually going to take what's a little bit left on the back of my brush and I'm going to just mix it into here. I can always go lighter by adding more white. But I like that better. I have a light and a medium and a dark gray, and then I have black and white. So there's my value scale I'm going to use to paint this project. So the next step is to paint. Okay, so I'm going to start with black, and I already have black in a container, so I need to make sure that my grays don't dry out while I'm painting the painting. So I'm going to spray this with water, and I need to probably do that periodically so they don't dry out. If you're not planning on completing this all in one session, you definitely want to put it like in a plastic bag or somehow cover it so you can use your colors that you've mixed. In class, we would normally just use these containers to save it in, but we can't do that right now. So, all right, I'm sure you noticed, you see my paintbrush sitting here in the white paint. That's a big no-no. You don't want to do that. I'm going to put it in water because that will ruin your brushes. That's just something that you need to remember from over time. I have a paper towel handy because I need to wipe off excess water out of my brush. So to start, I am going to start with black. So in my picture, I'm going to identify all of the black areas, and I'm going to start with that. The easiest thing to do is to start with one color, kind of like a paint by number, where you just start with one color, and then you go, you find all those areas, paint those in, and then you move on to the next. So just to show you a couple of things, I get my brush wet first. All right, it's not like watercolors where you have to use water, but I do get my brush wet, so it's slightly damp, and then I just start painting. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to start with the mouth because that area is black. Okay, so you want to do smooth, even strokes. And sometimes if you're using a paintbrush that's too big, here's a tip. And you can take it and you can get a little bit of water and roll the paintbrush so that it comes to a point. And that will help you get into the areas you need to get into. If you notice that you're starting to see white while you're painting, like you can start to see the paper through, or the texture through the paint, you need to get a tiny bit of water and definitely get a lot more paint to continue spreading it around. Okay, so see, like right here, got to get some more paint. I'll get a little bit of water and I'm gonna roll my paintbrush. And nice, even, smooth strokes. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna show you on canvas board. Canvas board has a much stronger texture to it. So I'm gonna start with the mouth on this one as well. I always use just a little bit of water, and to get more detailed, like I was saying, you just kind of roll your paintbrush in the paint. And I'm gonna zoom in on that so you can see the texture. Now if I'm using a totally dry brush without water, this texture will show through. Let me see, I'm gonna do this in the eye. So if I have a really dry brush, so I'm gonna dry my brush off. Okay, and then I'm gonna get some paint. And I'm gonna try to paint in here. And it's not gonna be clean, it's not gonna be neat, it's gonna be all sloppy because you wanna have that roll of the paintbrush in your paint. Kind of wipe off the excess like that so that you can get more detailed, and go slow. And like I said, if you start to see canvas or paper through, add a tiny touch of water and more paint, and that will help you out a lot. Okay, so I'm going to continue